Good morning. Welcome to the Boulder Valley Unitarian Universalist Fellowship. I'm Mary Stackpole. I use she, her pronouns. I'm joined today by my fellow service associate, Kelly Lojadice. Today's music is provided by Julie Morris and Clara Kelly, hymn leading. And today's tech team is Larry Sherwood, Scott Yeomans, and Kathy Partridge on Zoom. Good morning. As we begin the service with our welcome words, let them really sink in. Not only to open your heart to welcome everyone here this morning, but to take them with you into your week and to all those you welcome into your life. You are all welcome here today. In all the beauty of languages, cultures, skin tones, shapes and sizes, gifts, and challenges that come together in your uniqueness. You are welcome here. In all the ways you experience and express gender, you are welcome here. In the beauty that is who you love and how you love, you are welcome here. In all the ways you make your living and the places you are from, you are welcome here. With all the traditions that inform your spiritual life, you are welcome here today. No matter how long you are away, nor how soon you will return, you are welcome here. Whether you come with laughter in your heart or tears, you are welcome here. You are invited to join us with a curious mind, a loving heart, and a willing spirit. We welcome you today. We commit ourselves to being a center for spiritual exploration and justice making, and to anti-racism and anti-oppression work within and beyond our congregation. If you're new here, we're glad you found us and hope that in this community, whether you're with us in person or virtually, that you can experience the warmth and love of this congregation. Please come back a few times to really get to know us. We have many opportunities during the week for social connection and spiritual growth. Those on Zoom can check out the links in the chat to help you get connected. And those in person can stop by the welcome table in the foyer for more information in our newcomer form. It's also on the QR code in the back of the hymnal. Everyone on Zoom is welcome to stay for casual conversation following the service or attend our Inquirers series, which starts about 15 minutes following the end of our service. And today's Inquirer series is on social justice. If you're here in person today, you're welcome to coffee hour in the fellowship hall after the service. And if you're joining us on Zoom, please feel free to greet each other in the chat. And if you're a newcomer, let us know so we can greet you. We love to know who is among us. And those of you in the sanctuary, you're invited to take a moment to greet your neighbor. There will be lots of time following the service to continue these beautiful connections. And now we'll take our time to light our chalice. If you have a chalice at home, you can light it with us as Kelly lights our fellowship chalice. And so we know where our chalices are. Go ahead and write in the chat, chalice lit in, and the name of your town. Please say the words along with me. We light this chalice for the warmth of love, the light of truth, and the energy of action. And now I'll sing our bowl again, inviting it to draw you deeper into the present moment and this beloved community.
Hi, I'm Kelly Lojadice, she, her pronouns. And I'm going to start with an excerpt from a poem by Sailor J, My Body, My Rules. White-collared men in pinstripe suits sit casually across from one another, completely indifferent. They discuss ways to obtain power and how to silence the opposition. The opposition being women. Power being the rights to our own bodies. These are the men who make laws against abortion to disguise their ulterior motives, where belittling women is somehow a trend, where this type of thing has become okay, where the women's rights movement has been threatened time and time again. All of this in efforts to silence our war cries. But here's the thing about us that even history seems to have forgotten. We are women. Our mothers have been crafting our battle armor since before we were born. Gave it to us the day we were first interrupted in the middle of a sentence. They told us to be brave, to be bold, to be unapologetic, to speak our truth, and remain strong even when we feel utterly defeated. You see, we don't really do submissive. Won't sit back and let you do as you please. Rather, we'll continue to challenge your authority, make you wish you kept your laws off our bodies in the first place. To those who continue to undermine our capability, I say this to you. This body is my own. This body is power. In fact, I don't blame you for being afraid, because you and I both know that this body is capable of things so extraordinary. You can try to silence us, to take away our voice, but we will only grow stronger, grow louder, angrier. You will hear us, and you will listen. My body, my rules.
I may add a hearty heck yeah. Both of our songs are in the teal hymnal today, so that's the only one you need. We're going to start with 1053, How Could Anyone? If your body is cooperating with your spirit today, you may rise. Otherwise, you may sit. But let's do this thing. How could anyone ever tell you
Picture our society as a giant house, which we wander through as we go about our life. And at every turn, on every wall, in every room, our society holds up mirrors, which reflect back to us not just an image, but a message about our body, how it looks, what it is worth, how we should feel about it, and how we are supposed to use it. Here are a few such messages I've encountered in my life. Memory, me as a child. Mom, I don't want to wear this dress. It's itchy and it's tight on my shoulders. My mom, you're wearing the dress. We have to look nice for church. Message, God determines my worth by how I look, and the more uncomfortable I am, the better. Memory, in grade school, getting a sexual education book from my mom. I then proceed to look at it with my neighborhood friend, and my mom finds us giggling over the pictures and promptly scolds us. Message, sexuality and bodies are a secret, not something to be explored, enjoyed, shared, or embraced. Memory, public high school. I'm sorry, you can't wear a shirt that shows your shoulders. It's inappropriate and distracting. Here's an old ratty t-shirt to cover up. Message, the sight of my bare shoulder is powerful enough to drive boys to distraction. And I am responsible for their behavior. Memory, high school church youth group. Do not have sex before marriage. No one will want you if you're not a virgin. Message, my worth lies in my body alone, and it is intended for someone else's use. Memory, I am hugely pregnant, and strangers are so enthralled they will come up to me just to touch my big old belly. Message, my body is a beautiful vessel for life, and others have a right to it physically. Memory, me breastfeeding in public. Others, put it away, cover up, don't do that here. Message, my body is no longer beautiful, but something that others think I should hide. Memory, me at age 38, starting to lift weights, feeling stronger and empowered, and for the first time in my life, trying to make my body bigger and not smaller. But society, and my mother-in-law in particular, says, you shouldn't get bulky or you'll look like a man. Message, society is not comfortable with me as a woman taking up space or being powerful. Memory, excited to become a service associate at this very fellowship. I ask a friend to share their experience. They recount being chastised for wearing a lower cut blouse that showed cleavage. Message, even in this amazing, loving, liberal, forward-thinking community, I may still encounter another's mistaken belief that they have any say in or control over my body. Now, I've often considered myself lucky that the messages I've encountered have seemed somewhat innocuous at the time, mostly easy to ignore or brush aside. I know not everyone is so lucky. But it seems that with every year I grow older, I uncover some deeply rooted perception of myself that is based on a wholly inaccurate and dangerous message that I received in my younger years. Even as I consider myself a happy, successful woman, wife, and mother, I am still actively repairing some of the harm those messages have caused in my mental and emotional health. So I leave you with this thought to ponder. What messages have you received about your body and your autonomy over it? But more importantly, as we each become one of those mirrors that our collective society is holding up, which messages do you want to continue to reflect to the next generation? And which mirrors need breaking?
Wow. Each week, we remind ourselves of the abundance of our lives and this community by giving half of our plate away to those organizations that share our values. Today, the half plate is for Cobalt, which is a Colorado nonprofit that works to make sure nothing stands between you and your health decisions. They provide rapid response grassroots action to protect reproductive rights, engage in meeting the community needs, and making sure everyone knows how to access the care that is best for them. You can find more about them, about Cobalt, on their website at cobaltadvocates.org. Today, you can text your donation at the number on the screen, or if you're at the fellowship today, place your donation in the offering plate as it passes. Please give generously, as you often do. And as our music reflection begins, we invite you to reflect upon and write into the chat, if you're on Zoom, the answer to this question. What body message do you want to share with the next generation?
For the work of the fellowship, bringing love, reason, justice, and compassion to the world, and for the work of Cobalt, we dedicate our offerings.
It was 1980, and I was in my Pennsylvania high school health class, the sanitized name for sex ed class. And I was suddenly the center of attention as the other students yelled nasty comments while my teacher encouraged them. I was barely 14 years old. I was scared and shaking. I'd never had such hurtful words aimed at me. And all because when we were discussing teen pregnancy, I'd asked a question: what about abortion? As that younger me struggled to find words, I flashed back to elementary school in the 1970s. Money was tight, so my mom often made clothes for me and my 3 sisters. That day, we had proudly worn our lovingly sewn new pants to our public school. And the school principal called my mom and said she had to come pick up her daughters since they were dressed inappropriately. So there we were, lined up on chairs outside of the principal's office as my mother tore through the office door. My mom stormed into his office and, as the expression goes, tore him a new one. My sisters and I sat there exchanging looks with the secretary because we could hear every word. My mom berated the principal for living in the Stone Ages, that women have the right to wear pants, that it was public school, and it was absolutely ridiculous that she would be called out of her busy workday for this. And she would take this up with the school board if he didn't change his ways. And on and on. So from then on, whenever my mother came to the school, the teachers greeted her as a hero. The women had been required to wear dresses until my mom's dressing down of the principal. And now the teachers could choose to wear pants if they desired. That teenage self also flashed back to marching on Washington, D.C., with thousands of people yelling out for women's rights and women's choice and control over their own bodies. You see, I joined these marches with my mom since I was a toddler. And all of this was in my mind when in 1980 I was sitting in that sex ed class and I had asked that question, what about abortion? To my surprise, my teacher replied that it's killing, and adoption is the way forward for a pregnant woman. I raised my hand again and asked, what about a woman's right to make choices for her own body? And what if the pregnancy is from rape or incest? And she said, class, why don't you all tell Kelly how wrong that thinking is? And she watched and even encouraged my fellow students to demean me for my opinion, and they gleefully spit venomous words at me. I was angry at the betrayal of my teacher, shocked at my classmates' verbal abuse and their total disrespect for a woman's bodily autonomy. Their words were intended to silence me and to silence women. I tried to channel my mom that day, that day that she faced the principal, a person in authority, and challenged inequitable rules that were behind the times. I tried to stay strong, be an advocate for women's choices, control over their own body, just as I had done when I marched with thousands of others. But I was alone, frightened, betrayed, and overwhelmed. So I truly have blanked out on most of what happened and what I said. I was even so embarrassed believing that I hadn't fought hard enough that I didn't tell my family about it until much later. Later, as an adult, I was teaching anatomy as a massage instructor. And I was thinking, I could just breeze through the reproductive system since I assumed they'd learned the basics in high school. They understood their anatomy since many of them had been parents several times over. Most of my massage students had come from the failing and poorly funded inner city Philadelphia schools. And to my surprise, based on their questions, I realized much of this information was new to them, particularly any information about their internal anatomy. You see, the more affluent suburban schools all had sex ed classes, and I had assumed that the inner city Philadelphia schools did too, but learned later that those classes were often cut first and deemed non-essential. So I talked with my UU minister in Philadelphia about how shocked I was about the lack of sex education. And he encouraged me to get involved with the OWL program. The Our Whole Lives, or OWL program, was developed together by the Unitarian Universalist Association and the United Church of Christ. OWL's liberal religious sexuality education is rooted in many of our UU values, including respecting the inherent dignity and worthiness of every person. OWL provides accurate, age-appropriate factual information and also helps participants clarify their values and understand the spiritual, emotional, and social aspects of sexuality. Yes, our fellowship teaches comprehensive, lifespan sexuality education. And I mean lifespan, since hopefully this fall we will be offering OWL for adults as well. Yay! Since adults also need a safe space to search for truth and meaning, to clarify their values and apply them to their lives while exploring their own issues and questions regarding sexuality. As a facilitator of the OWL program, I have been through that journey of discovery. I have found my own voice. And in training, I learned the gaps I had in my knowledge of sexuality. And from participants, I learned from their questions, and over the years, watched them grow into their own best selves. I think of being an OWL facilitator as a spiritual practice. It allows me to put my values into action. As UUs, we help transform the world by changing this culture of and climate of fear and confusion into a new reality of lives lived in loving, equitable, and healthy relationships. And we're countering injustices such as homophobia, transphobia, stereotyping, and sexism. Yet, as Mary mentioned, we still have some work to do within our own faith. There's good news outside of our faith, because in Colorado, schools that offer human sexuality instruction must provide comprehensive and medically accurate information and not exclude the health needs of intersex individuals or LGBT individuals. Yes. Also, the curriculum must promote the development of healthy relationships, including info on things like consent, and not emphasize abstinence as the primary and sole preventative method. There is also language in the law about teaching all pregnancy outcomes, including abortion. In contrast, Pennsylvania schools, where I grew up, must emphasize abstinence and do not have to teach medically accurate information, and some districts include curriculum that stigmatizes marginalized youth, such as students of color and LGBTQ youth. Yet, here in Colorado, there's still work to be done, since local jurisdictions can still decide whether to provide sex education at all. For example, in the Denver area, the Sheridan School District doesn't have a sex ed curriculum. School districts may also choose to not provide instruction on pregnancy outcomes. As always, parents and guardians may remove their kids from sex ed or STI, HIV classes. And also, our publicly funded charter schools may apply for a waiver from the sex education law, and there are currently 5 charter schools that have these waivers, which means they may not be teaching comprehensive sex ed or conforming with the state law, despite being funded by our public dollars. So, imagine how many youth just in Colorado are receiving inaccurate, incomplete, and discriminatory information. What can you do about this? How can you use your energy of action? Find out what your local school district's policy is on sex ed. Does it provide info on pregnancy outcomes? Whether you have children or not, attend your local school board meetings, so our voices can be heard, advocating for the inherent worth and dignity of everyone. Also, consider participating in an adult OWL class to explore your own issues and questions regarding sexuality. Remember, all outward transformation begins with inner transformation. If you are a caretaker, consider enrolling your youth in our OWL program, and encourage your friends, whether they're members or not, to enroll their children, and actively engage in the homework activity, or become a facilitator of the OWL programs. And for yourself, ask yourself, how are your comments and reactions undermining or supporting body positive messaging? As Mary said earlier, which messages do you want to reflect to the next generation? And which mirrors need breaking? Find out if your local school district has dress codes and if it needs changing. Lastly, remember to lean on each other as we do this important social justice work in the world, and be gentle with each other as we're learning and changing. There are times when we may feel overwhelmed or silenced, so reach out to each other, since together is how we grow stronger, grow louder.
So African American spirituals have the quality of letting people see a future that doesn't exist yet, right? That's that power of hope. So this spiritual that we're gonna sing today, 1018, Come and Go With Me, also in your teal hymnal, For me, as we're singing it in light of what we talked about today, I am believing and hoping that there is a land where all of us in this, there's a future where all of us in this country can get our rights back. So sing with me with hope today, 10:18. We'll do all 4 verses.
Ode to Leggings, a poem by myself. So soft and smooth and no wrinkle lines. Oh, leggings divine. But if you prefer denim that's rough with no shine, that's your choice, not mine. I can stretch and I can squat and I can move in time. Oh, leggings divine. If you prefer pants that restrict and confine, that's your choice, not mine. I can express myself in color and design. Oh, leggings divine. If a couple neutrals work for you, fine. That's your choice, not mine. One pair for home or the gym or to dine. Oh, leggings divine. And if instead of 1 you need 4, 6, or 9, that's your choice, not mine. But what's that I hear? This isn't the place or the time. To be welcome here, I must be more refined. Then what else of me should I leave behind? If the sight of my legs so fills you with dread of the feelings you're taught to keep out of your head, 'cause we don't want to teach you to just feel them instead. Oh, leggings divine, I feel it is time to speak up, make some noise, and cross over the line, 'cause today it is you, but what choice next time. And now I invite us into our time of community connection, our time of sacred sharing. If you're on Zoom and you'd like to share a joy or concern, please type it into the chat window and let us know briefly what's on your heart today. I will read them out loud, and Kelly will add a stone to our sacred waters on your behalf. If you're in the sanctuary today, you can come up front to share a joy or concern using the microphone, holding it straight out in front of you so we can hear you well. And you may add a stone to the waters or ask Kelly to do so for you. And you're always invited to add a stone in silence. Wherever you are, please tell us your name and where you live when you share. And one last stone for any joys and concerns that remain in the silent sanctuary of our hearts, knowing that even in our silence, we are bound together in the web of life.
Dear ones, may we find comfort in each other in our sorrows, and may we reach and celebrate to each other and with each other in our joys. Blessed be. So just 2 announcements today. The first is join us right here in the sanctuary about 15 minutes after the service for the Inquirers series with our Social Justice Council. Those on Zoom can join in Inquirers by staying on this Zoom link. And there's no Inquirers session next week, since we invite all of you after the service next Sunday, February 18th, to attend the catered all-congregation brunch to kick off this year's pledge drive. It should be a lot of fun. And I encourage you to check out this brochure that we have in the foyer about what's religious about sexuality education.
And now we will extinguish our chalice, so please say the words along with me. We extinguish this chalice, but not the warmth of love, the light of truth, nor the energy of action. These we carry in our hearts until we meet again. Now I invite you to rise in body or spirit. Link hands or elbows, or if you'd rather, give yourself a hug, but reach out in body or spirit. Friends, may you go forth and let your unique light reflect your values into the world. The light in me honors that light in each of you. Namaste.